Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate y'all being here. Um, Ms. Sargis, could I ask so the makeup of this exchange program, what's the largest share of foreign nationals on that side that come over here? Is it a specific region of the world? What is that?
In the past couple of years, it has been Ukraine, followed by Georgia.
Is there a specific reason why it's Ukraine and Georgia?
No, however, a couple of years ago, we were instructed to enhance or build up our Ukraine program. It had been smaller. So the opportunity came up after 2022 when we suspended our Russia program indefinitely. So we were able to accommodate that enhancement. So that works well. We also were able to partner with the VA, and it is probably a flagship program of ours that the VA works with veterans from Ukraine and provides programming for them in one of the 5 polytrauma centers that the VA has in this country, where our medical specialists are getting the opportunity to get very much the latest in battlefield injuries. And they are learning a whole lot from the Ukraine veterans who are able to come over here. And because of our relationship with Ukraine over the years, and so many of our alumni, some 5,000 alumni, many of them are members of parliament or even in the ministries by now, we're able to get permission to bring those people over here. It's very hard for Ukrainian soldiers to come over, but we're able to bring them over for our 10-day program. We also had women veterans from Ukraine who went to West Virginia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think you said this. So, are these elected officials when they're coming over here? Or generally they're not, and then typically they'll go on to become elected officials.
Most of them are not elected officials, but our parliamentary program grows each year. So we look for the elected official, and we work with the parliaments of these countries, also parliamentary staff, which are a very interesting cohort to bring over.
Okay, so most of them then not being MPs or anything like that. They're
not when they start, but sometimes our parliamentary program, well, our parliamentary program is for MPs.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine's parliamentary numbers, we've actually reached quite a few, but most of them are having a difficult time coming and traveling on the 10-day program. So we do our best bringing them over and getting them congressional meetings and accessible to the institutions and the officials they need to meet. But there are challenges with that, of course.
Are there other European countries that participate in this?
Yes, we work with Romania, we work with Hungary, Romania, Poland, the Balkans, the Baltic states. Parliamentary members from most of those countries have come over here. Our newest program is in the Indo-Pacific, where it's interesting for us to be working with parliaments of the countries of the Indo-Pacific. They're rather small, so one of our delegations represents 10% of their parliament. So we're able to make very deep inroads into that cohort in just a few delegations.
And then, are you familiar with the Transatlantic Legislators Dialogue that takes place? The TLD has been around for a long time. Do you feel that might be duplicative since they're meeting twice a year? Folks from the European Parliament, and then there's the NATO Parliamentary Assembly as well that has MPs from the NATO nations meeting with our congressional delegation multiple times a year. Does that seem a little bit duplicative?
I don't have a very deep knowledge of the programs you're talking about, but I believe the difference is the COIL programs are essentially in the American community by the end of it. So they do spend 3 days here. The parliament members do spend 3 days here in Washington, but the rest of their time is in communities around the country. And that is where they work with state legislatures, which are often more to scale for their own countries. So they learn about lawmaking and policy. And one of the things that we found that our parliamentarians really want to know, they want to know why they can't have a CVC. So we talk to them about that. We talk to them about CRS. We talk about calendar. They don't have congressional calendars. So they want to know how you run so they can work that into their own processes. So we introduce them to speakers from CRS, and we take them to the CVC, and they meet with committee members. That committee membership is another thing that they find very interesting. So while they do really important work here in Washington for 3 days, when they get to the state capitals, they get a different kind and a much more focused kind of program, one that really tells them what they need to know.
Yeah, I would urge you to take a look at this. So it's under Title 22. So it's over at Foreign Affairs Committee administers these. But NATO Parliamentary Assembly, they come here too. And so they come here every year, and Transatlantic Legislators Dialogue comes here every year as well. And then there was the UK-US transatlantic. There's a bunch of these things over there. So there might be some efficiencies to be found in some of this, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. But yeah, I just urge you to take a look at it. Obviously, there's a new chairman of the committee over there, but I don't know if the British-U.S. one is still in existence. It was at one point. Someone's nodding their head back there. Does it still happen? But yeah, it was. There's a number of these that are over at the House Foreign Affairs Committee. I'm speaking as former staff of the committee. So in any event, there could be some efficiencies to be found where you could try to synergize your efforts, maybe try to save us some money. But in any way, I appreciate it. Yield back.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.